In 1 Corinthians 10, Paul is warning the church of Corinth about idolatry. And so he's talking about their forefathers from the Old Testament. And he's saying, our fathers were all under the cloud. They all passed through the sea, and they were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and they all ate the same food, and they drank from the rock, which the rock was Christ. Nevertheless, with most of them, God was not pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. If you're ever wondering why those things happened and why they're documented and why we read those in the Old Testament, Paul tells us right here. He said, these things took place as examples for us, that we might not desire evil as they did. Do not be idolaters, as some of them were. Now, we don't worship these golden calf things anymore like they did, but idolatry still runs rampant in all of our hearts, right? We idolize money, we idolize people, we idolize even nature. There's a lot of people who idolize nature and not the creator. So they idolize creation and not who created it. And Paul says, let anyone who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. This verse has been on my mind heavily the past few days ever since I read it, because the higher that I go in business and in success and in fitness and in everything, the more easy, the more dangerous it is to just immediately become prideful and to consider myself as better than someone because, oh, I'm better disciplined, or I've made more money, or I help more people, whatever. But I want this verse to be on my mind at all times, which is let anyone who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. And the next verse that I'm about to talk about is incredible. Check this out. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with temptation, he will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. So, temptation is in the world. Our flesh is sinful. Other people are sinful. Without getting too deep, like, the world is not perfect right now. It is broken because of our sin, and God will fix the world in the future. That's what he promises us in the Bible. But for now, it's broken, and there is sinful temptations all around. But Paul is saying that God is faithful, and he will not let us be tempted beyond what we can endure. So I don't know about you, but there's a lot of times in my life where I felt like I just can't do this, God. Like, I can't withstand this temptation from whatever the sin may be. But he has given us the ability to. And he said he will not let us be tempted beyond our ability, so that we may be able to endure it. And so whatever you're feeling in your life right now, any kind of temptation, this should be so encouraging for you to know that God is not going to allow you to be tempted beyond your ability to withstand it. So God has given us the ability to escape all temptation. So Paul goes on to say, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all for the glory of God. Be very careful of temptation. And whenever you feel tempted, know that, hey, first off, all these old examples of people being sinful and that having insanely bad consequences are there for us as examples to show us, like, hey, do not desire evil as they did. Be very careful and take heed lest you fall. If you think you stand, be careful because you could fall. So be very watchful of that. And then know that God is faithful and he's not tempted us beyond our ability to withstand it. So whatever you do, give all to the glory of God. Do it for the glory of God. And Paul says, just as I try to please everyone, not for my sake, but for many, that they may be saved. So Paul is kind of talking on this whole theme of, like, should they eat food sacrificed to idols? Should they drink these things? Should they eat these things? And he's saying, like, just try to live at peace with everyone. And, don't do it for your sake, but for the sake of others. And this hits me hard because I've shared this before, but in my hometown, like, drinking is like a big, like, separator, a big filter. People who go to church and they're Baptist, they like completely withstand from drinking, think it's like evil. We know it's not based on the Bible, but it can be very easily. So they stay completely away from it, which makes complete sense. There's other people who drink a lot and they like worship the alcohol. Honestly, they just drink all day, every day. And so whenever I go back to Center, where I'm from, I in the past have like struggled, like, do I drink, do I not drink? Because obviously I don't think drinking is bad inherently. I know it's not bad inherently, but I want to try to please everyone, not from like a to make them like me sense, but to please them as far as be above reproach. And so I'm committing to, when I go back to Center, to avoid alcohol just for those people who do not think the same way or do not believe the same way. Not for my sake, but for the sake of like others. So people don't see me. If people think that alcohol is like a bad thing that Christians don't do in that town, well, then I shouldn't do it in that town, just so I might have the leverage to be able to witness to those people. So that's kind of how that verse hit me. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.